Howdy, 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 my name is Untitled Chapter, and welcome back to Let's Read About Cryptids. This should be the last one, because I've only got 3 cryptids left on the list that my friend gave me. Also, the last episode was actually episode 4, I just didn't set my folders up the right way and thought it was episode 3. This one is episode 5, and like I said, it should be the last one. So, the first one we're going to be doing is the Dover Demon. And again, I don't want to just go straight to Wikipedia just because it's there, but the next one is the Cryptids wiki, and then followed by the Bossa Archive? So I guess we could check out the Bossa Archive and see how that goes. By Mark Sullivan, written in 2006. I think the air conditioner just turned on. So if the microphone picked up a weird vzz noise, that was the air conditioner turning on. Okay, so Dover. 29 years later, William Bartlett stands by his story of what he saw on Farm Street that night. It was an eerie human-like creature, he said, about 4 feet tall with glowing orange eyes and no nose or mouth and a watermelon-shaped head. In a watermelon-shaped head? I have no idea what it was, Bartlett, now a 46-year-old artist living in Needham, said in a recent interview. I definitely know I saw something. Okay. The Dover Demon that Bartlett and 2 other teenagers reported seeing over a 2-day span in April 1977 has since gained worldwide attention, not unlike Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and the Latin American goat sucker, the Chupacabra. Internet pages are devoted to the Dover Demon. You can play a video game featuring the creature or buy a figurine of it as far away as Japan. Really? There's a Dover Demon game? In a lot of ways, it's kind of embarrassing to me, said Bartlett. I definitely saw something. It was definitely weird. I ain't make it up. Sometimes I wish I had. He has made a career as a painter, his work displayed in galleries on both coasts, but a Google search on Bill Bartlett, he noted, invariably turns up his teenage encounter with the unknown. Once his wife, Gwen, browsing the horror section of a bookstore, flipped open an encyclopedia of monsters, and there was an entry about her husband and the Dover Demon. It's a thing that's been following me for years, Bartlett said. Not the creature, the story. Sometimes I dread every Halloween getting calls about it. On April the 21st, 1977, Bartlett, then 17, was driving along Farm Street at around 10 p.m. when, he said, he saw the creature atop a broken stone wall. 2 hours later, according to news accounts from that time, John Baxter, 15, was walking home from his girlfriend's house when he got within 15 feet of the creature along a creek and a heavily wooded area along Miller Hill Road. At midnight the next night, Abby Brabham, 15, was driving home with her boyfriend when she spotted the creature sitting upright on Springdale Avenue. A drawing made by Baxter showed a humanoid creature with large eyes standing by a tree. Bartlett's large-eyed creature crawled with tendril-like fingers across a stone wall. I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature, he wrote on the sketch. Did he write with the apostrophe, or is that just the author again? The locations of the sightings, plotted on a map, lay in a straight line over 2 something miles. All the sightings were made in the vicinity of water. No sightings have been reported since, though Bartlett says a weird experience a year later left him wondering if he had had a return visit from the creature. The following year, he said, he was in a parked car with his girlfriend when he heard a thump on the car. He made out a small figure leaving the scene. He remains unsure who or what banged on the car, he said, though it could have been a youngster playing a prank. Farm Street on a recent evening could have been a modern-day Sleepy Hollow, with woods lining the fieldstone walls and what little light there was coming from the moon. Since at least the 17th century, the vicinity of the second oldest road in Dover has been associated with strange occurrences. In his 1914 town history, Dover Farms, Frank Smith writes of Farm Street. In earlier times, this road went round by the picturesque Polka Rock on the farm of George Patel, which was called for a man by that name, of whom it is remembered that amid the superstitions of the age, he thought he saw his satanic majesty as he was riding on his horseback by this secluded spot. The location has long been looked upon as one in which treasures are hid, but why anyone would go so far inland to hide treasures has never been told. However, there has been times of unmistakable evidence of considerable digging in the immediate vicinity of this rock. Loren Coleman of Portland, Maine, a well-known cryptozoologist or researcher of hidden animals, from Sasquatch to sea serpents, led the original investigations into the Dover Demon, whose name he coined. Studying Dover's history, Coleman said in a telephone interview, he was struck by the fact that the area in which the demon was sighted had a tradition of unexplained activity. In the same area, you had three major legends going on, he said, citing the apparition of the devil on horseback, the tales of buried treasure, and then the Dover demon. I think it certainly says something. It's almost as if there are certain areas that collect sightings, almost in a magnetic way. Coleman theorized that the large geologic outcropping in the woods off Farm Street that historian Smith called the Polka Stone might actually have been called the Puka Stone, after the fairy folk of Celtic folklore. When the Dover demon was sighted in 1977, it might not have been the first time a strange creature was spotted in the woods by local teenagers. Matt Sennett? Mark Sennett, where'd I get Matt from? Of Sherborne, who was buying a bagel and coffee at Isabella's grocery in Dover Center on a recent Saturday morning, said there was talk at Dover Sherborne High School in the early 1970s of strange things being seen in the woods. In fact, Sennett said, he and his friends might have seen a demon themselves at Channing Pond and Springdale Avenue in 72. I don't know if we really saw anything, he said. We thought we did. We saw a small figure deep in the woods, moving at the edge of the pond. We could see it moving in the headlights. We didn't know. It could have been an animal, Sennett said the group told the police, who investigated, but nothing came of it. When Bartlett saw his creature 5 years later, he said he was driving with two friends on Farm Street near Bridge Street. On the way to Sherborne about 10 p.m., they hadn't had any beer. We were probably looking for it, he said, but we didn't have any that night. Bartlett said the car was traveling maybe 35 to 40 miles per hour when he saw the thing standing on a wall, its eyes glowing in the headlights. It was not a dog or a cat, he said. It had no tail. It had an egg-shaped head. He said he saw it from about 10 feet away. Over the duration it took the car to travel from one utility pole to the next. His two friends did not report seeing the creature. He grew up around animals and he'd seen the odd mangy fox, Bartlett said. This definitely wasn't, he said. It was some kind of creature with long, thin fingers and more human-like in its form than animal. Its shape reminded him of kids with distended bellies, he said. I've always tried to guess what it was. I never had any idea. This was no prank, Bartlett said. I wasn't trying to be funny. People who know me know I didn't make this up. Coleman, who began an investigation within days of the sightings in 1977, and spotlights the Dover Demon case in the 2001 edition of his book Mysterious America, believes Bartlett. We have a credible case over 25 hours by individuals who saw something, said Coleman, who interviewed all three teens within a week. I don't remember what voice I was using for Coleman, and I don't think it matters. Within a week of the reported sightings, and said he was convinced they had not concocted a hoax. Nothing quite like the demon has been reported seen before or since, he said. The Dover creature does not quite match the description of the Chupacabra, or of Roswell aliens, or of the bat-eared goblin said to have attacked a family at Hopkinsville, Kentucky in 1955. The what? Anyway, it doesn't really fit any place, Coleman said. It's extremely unique. It has no real connections to any other inexplicable phenomena. Is it possible the teens actually saw a foal, or perhaps a moose calf, as some have suggested? Coleman said he canvassed local horse owners after the incident, and none reported a missing horse. Moreover, it was not foaling season. As for the moose theory, only 2 moose were reported in Massachusetts in 1977 and 78, both of them in central Massachusetts, he said. A yearling moose by that time in April would weigh more than 600 pounds and be bigger than the Volkswagen that Bartlett was in. To have a bipedal moose with long fingers and orange skin and no hair and no nose would be more of a phenomenon than the Dover Demon. So what did those teens see? It's okay to say we don't know. I think the Dover Demon's mystery lives on. It's an unknown phenomenon whose fame is stretched worldwide, and I think Dover should be very proud. In Dover, a quiet community dotted with horse farms and one of the richest towns in the state, people are still not quite sure what to make of the story. That thing has haunted me for 29 years, said Carl Sheridan, a former police chief. I knew the kids involved. They're good kids. Pretty reliable kids. God only knows what they saw, Sheridan said. I still don't know. Strange things have happened. The whole thing was unusual. He got calls from all over the world when the case made the news, the former chief said, and he still does, from time to time. The thing will not die, Sheridan said. I'm telling you, the thing will not go away. In town clerk Barry Clo's office at Town Hall, municipal reports share shelf space with a file of materials related to the Dover Demon's case, including a book titled Weird New England and a newspaper clipping headlined, Bizarre 4-foot creature with orange skin and glowing eyes stalking a town. Every once in a while, people People come in and ask about it, said Chloe. I have no idea if it's true or untrue. Downtown Dover was decorated recently with pumpkins as children arrived for a Halloween fair, and a steady stream of regulars bought coffee and newspapers at Isabella's. Located in the old Dover pharmacy, now with an Italian deli counter added to the old soda fountain, the grocery remains a town hub. Behind the counter, Isabella, Scott Bielski, 17, of Dover, a senior at Dover Sherborne High, said the demon gives a small town a unique claim to fame. Home of the Dover demon has a nice ring to it, he said with a smile. As far as he knows, the creature had never stopped into the soda fountain. Let us know if he wants anything. A customer who gave his name as Jimmy said he's lived in town for 4 years but has yet to see a demon. Maybe I will someday, he said. I'm one of those realists. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. Customer Ed Tortolate of Dover said, I think it's probably as real as the Easter Bunny, but it's fun. Nearly 3 decades after seeing something very strange on Farm Street, Bartlett has decidedly mixed feelings about the experience. It was my 15 minutes of fame without wanting it, he said. It was a little embarrassing. Still is. He said he hasn't talked much to his 2 children, 8 and 5 years old, about the creature. I don't want to scare them. And the professional artist has never drawn another picture of the thing he saw. I don't have enough memory of it, he said. I haven't wanted to. I'm a serious fine arts painter. I don't want people to think I'm some freak. I don't usually tell anybody. I shouldn't be embarrassed, but you see these people on TV and they're made to look like idiots, he said. I really do wish I had made it up. I might have profited from it. It's a great story. I wish it was seen again so everybody would know it was true. More about the Dover Demon is available at the Strange New England website, strangeini.com/monsters/Dover, or at Loren Coleman's website, lorencoleman.com. That article was written in a very weird way, but I think it gave us pretty much all the information we really need about the Dover Demon, since it was partially an interview with the guy who discovered the dang thing. So, moving on to the Night Crawlers. There's a full-on documentary about it, uploaded by National Geographic. We're not going to watch that, because it's 40 minutes long, and these videos aren't usually that long. Let's, maybe there's information on the article about the film, but I'll scroll down a little bit to see if there's anything else. Okay, well, when did the film come out? Last year. Well, there's an article about, like, a review of the film, but we're not looking for reviews. Is it this? Meet the Night Crawlers. I mean, it's probably not that. Yeah, I'm getting very conflicted responses to this, but if nothing else, at least I didn't get, Nightcrawler, the, freaking X-Men. It could have been the X-Men. Or X-Men. Okay, so what's this about now? The Nightcrawler's truth hides in the darkness. I feel like this is also not about the monster. I think this might actually be about something else. Yeah, this is just more thing about the Nightcrawlers. Okay, maybe I have to search it as the Nightcrawler's cryptid. The Fresno Nightcrawler. Okay. We're just going to use the Cryptids.fandom for this one, since I almost didn't even find it. So let's just go with that. The Fresno Nightcrawler, also known as the Fresno Alien, is a cryptid that has made 2 appearances so far, one in Fresno, California, and the other in Yosemite National Park. In both sightings, it's only seen in video footage. However, a man in Poland has claimed to have seen the creature. It's also said it resembled the Carmel area creature. The what? Okay, well, there's a whole other article about that creature. I don't know why I need to know about that creature. I'm just... Oh, because it looks like it's only going to tell us what it looks like if we read about the Carmel creature. The witness, a 60-year-old ex-Marine yet to be named, and his wife, were driving near Carmel on December the 12th, 2014, when they came up a hill and saw a 7-foot-tall, slender gray creature, which is now known as the Carmel area creature. The witness said the following. We recently bought a place in the Fort Hill area. I don't know why I'm giving him a voice. I don't know what a 60-year-old Californian man sounds like. We first noticed after about 30 days of living here that we suddenly have a perfect circle that stays fresh green no matter what weather in our front yard. On Friday night, the 12th, we were driving home after turning on Carmel Road, which leads to our road. We went around the curve by the Carmel Church and then up on a small incline and approximately 10 feet over the incline and in front of our truck, the alien ran across the road and into the woods. Okay. There have been many possible sightings of the Nightcrawler in the form of the Carmel area creature, a thin, armless, pale white humanoid creature seen in Ohio. It says first sighting early November 2010, last sighting 2017, United States and Poland. The creature has also been spotted in Yosemite, where footage was again taken from what appears to be another security camera. This time there are two creatures, one being very small, less than half a meter, and the feet of the creatures can be clearly seen, as well as what appears to be some sort of webbing connected from the knees to the upper body on at least. The cryptid has also been videotaped in Poland, this time from what appears to be a handheld camera, judging from the shakiness of the footage. The creature cannot be seen for too long, but appears to have similar traits to the larger one taped in Yosemite. Explanations: an alien or extraterrestrial being, a new species, possibly a primate with short arms, a misidentified gazelle standing upright, pants and or a puppet on a wire. Possibly an entirely new kind of animal, possibly mammal. What kind of animal do you think could be described as being 7 feet tall with long skinny limbs and gray? Why does that sound like a gazelle to you? Fresno nightcrawlers appear to be a relatively short creatures, approximately 1.5 meters, with most of their height being made up of their legs as they possess an extremely small upper body. It's hard to find details in the upper body of the cryptid due to the poor quality of its footage. It is an extremely thin white humanoid with no discernible arms. A larger specimen appears to have webbing connected from each knee to the torso. The cryptids appear to have very short, thin, and stilt-like feet. It's hard to judge the exact characteristics of the cryptids in the footage due to poor quality. The Carmel area creature is tall and gray with presumably no arms and long muscular legs. It is bipedal and walks in an odd manner with its backwards and bending knees. It resembles the Fresno nightcrawler. While there have been claims that they are part of a Native American folklore in the region, this has been debunked. The first sighting of a Fresno nightcrawler happened in Fresno, California by a man named Jose. Jose had a surveillance camera watching his front lawn and looked at the camera when he heard a dog barking. Media. The Fresno nightcrawler is most known for being one of the two featured video cases on the second episode of Sci-Fi's Fact or Faked Paranormal Files. The team deemed the nightcrawler unexplainable. It is also now considered a fun urban legend and an endearing addition to pop culture. Hoaxes. Some of the sightings are actually a pair of white pants being puppeteered, therefore a hoax. The alleyway gif of the Fresno nightcrawler was created by YouTuber Captain Disillusion by walking down an alleyway with a melon and then using digital manipulation to remove the top half of his body. His purpose is to demonstrate how easily videos of cryptids can be falsified. Overall, there is some evidence, but most evidence points towards the nightcrawler being a hoax. But they do have the video of its original sighting, so I might as well check that out. If it works. aka nightcrawler footage, second figure yard crossing with cape. Close-up analysis, you be the judge. If you insist. Get out of here, CenturyLink. Original footage, cropped to fill up the screen. Is it going to be sound, or is it just going to be video? Oh, there it is. It's, in the upper left. It looks kind of silly, to be honest. It does actually just kind of look like a pair of pants hauling ass across the field by itself. It looks like a pair of bell bottoms that's just got somewhere really important it needs to be and it forgot. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Anything else about the Fresno Nightcrawler? I mean, that's pretty good information. We figured out what it is. We got to see that it looks like a pair of bell bottoms that missed an important meeting. That brings us to the Loveland Frogman. Well, Wikipedia says Loveland Frog, but my friend said Loveland Frogman, so I don't know. Well, let's check out the weird US article about it. Your travel guide to America's local legends and best kept secrets. Weird US. Loveland Frogman. It looks like, I don't want to say Swamp Thing. It might be Swamp Thing? Man Thing? The Marvel one. I forget. Or DC. The comic book guy from the Swamp. Anyway, in March of 1972, on two separate occasions, two Ohio policemen saw what has become known as the Loveland Frogman. 14 investigators, Ron Schaefer and Schaffner and Richard Mackey, who interviewed the officers, investigated the incidents. The first incident took place at 1 o'clock in the morning on March 3rd, 1972. A lot of stuff seems to happen in 1972. On a clear, cold night, Officer Ray Shockey was en route to Loveland via Riverside Road when he thought he saw a dog beside the roadway in the field on Twitewee Road. But then the thing stood up, its eyes illuminated by the car lights, looked at him for an instant, turned, and leapt over a guardrail. Shockey saw it go down an embankment into the Little Miami River. He described the thing as weighing about 60 pounds, standing at about 3 to 4 feet tall, and having a textured, leathery skin and face like a frog or a lizard. How would you know how much it weighs by watching it jump over a guardrail? That's not how that works. Shockey drove to the police station and returned with Officer Mark Matthews to look for evidence of the creature. They turned up scrape marks leading down the side of the hill near the river. On St. Patrick's Day, March 17, 1972, Officer Matthews was driving outside of Loveland when he had a similar experience. Seeing an animal lying in the middle of the road, he stopped to remove what he thought was a dead critter. Instead, when the officer opened his squeaky car door, the animal got up in a crouched position like a football player. The creature hobbled to the guardrail and lifted its leg over the fence, keeping an eye on Matthews the whole time. Perhaps it was the funny smirk on its face, but Matthews decided to shoot it. Perhaps it was the funny smirk on its face, but Matthews decided to shoot it. He missed, however, probably because the thing didn't slow down. Matthews later told how he felt the creature stood more upright than the way Shockey had described it. One area farmer told investigators he saw a large frog-like or lizard-like creature during the same month as the officer's sightings. The reports of the 1972 frogman had been hard on the witnesses. Those two officers took a lot of flack about the sighting back then, said a local businessman who wished not to be identified, in a 1985 newspaper story about the sightings. People made fun of them and the city. Years later, in 1999, during a local media interview, Mark Matthews explained that he was tired of talking about the frogman and that what he had seen was an iguana. But at the same time, both witnesses definitely saw something like an upright man-like lizard about 4 feet tall. And then there's the matter of the sketch. Officer Shockey's sister drew it for them shortly after their experience with the creature, and it clearly looks like a giant frogman, a bipedal creature. During the 2001 Weird Ohio did a follow-up investigation, re-interviewing principals, including asking Ron Schaffner about Matthews' attempts to pull back from his original story. Schaffner told us, "Why, after all these years, is Matthews debunking the story? I'm not sure. Could be a number of reasons, but both officers told us that it resembled the sketch in 1976. Why would they show us a composite drawing of this creature back in '76 and tell us that it looked like the drawing? I lived in Loveland for about 5 years and the story is still circulating with many variations. Maybe Matthews is just tired of hearing the story and all the variations." Weird Ohio. Okay. Is there anything else about the Loveland Frogman? WLWT has the legend of it, but it looks like it's a radio station in Cincinnati. And once again, there is the Frogman. But there's also videos of sighting the Frogman. It looks like the videos are probably going to be in the Cryptid Wiki, so let's check the Cryptid Wiki, I guess. Also known as the Loveland Lizards, they're cryptids who derive their name from the area they inhabited near Loveland, Ohio. 4 sightings, one in 1955, 2 in 1972, and 1 in 2016. The 2016 sighting has video evidence associated with it, but is likely a hoax due to its location in a city. The Loveland Frogmen are reportedly bipedal frogs. This would make them the only species of frog that are bipedal. Okay. They are bipedal frogs as made evidence due to their leathery skin as well as their webbed hands and feet. The creatures have frog-like heads with wrinkly skin on top of them. They're around a meter tall. The Loveland frog is known to live in Clermont County, Ohio. The creature lives in a temperate forest that is able to survive cold winters of the region without having to hibernate. Why do you know that? Behavior and life history. The frogmen apparently have the physical ability to use sticks like tools, however, they also have an ability as they can use those sticks to emit sparks like a wand. This could mean that the frogs have an ability to control electricity in some way. Where are you getting this from? These amphibious anomalies have shocked and terrified both businessmen, farmers, and police officers, and that's 3 things, not both. And remain one of the most intriguing cryptozoological mysteries in the United States. One of the most intriguing cases encounters that of the Loveland Frogman or Loveland Lizards. This is one of the unique creatures. The story of these unique creatures begins in May of 1955 on a lonely stretch of road that runs along the Miami River in Clermont County, just on the outskirts of a small town known as Loveland, Ohio. At approximately 3:30 a.m., an unnamed businessman claimed to have witnessed 3 bipedal quasi-reptilian creatures congregating by the side of the road. The man pulled his car to the curb and observed these creatures for what he estimated to be about 3 minutes. During this time, he noticed that these strange beings stood between 3 to 4 feet tall and were covered with leathery skin and had webbed hands and feet. Their most distinguishing characteristic, however, was their distinctly frog-like heads, which the man claimed bore deep wrinkles where the hair should have been. Just as the man was about to steal away, one of the creatures suddenly held what the witness could only describe as a wand above its head. The anonymous source further claimed that the sparks spewed out of the end of this device. He left post-haste. Thus begins the bizarre legend of the Loveland Frogman. This tale would be fascinating enough if it ended there, but the 2 most significant encounters in this case, and indeed 2 of the most significant encounters in the annals of cryptozoology, were yet to come. At about 1 a.m. on March the 3rd, 1972, 17 years after the first report just about, a police officer, who understandably chose to remain anomalous, was traveling along Riverside Road heading towards Loveland when he saw something that would forever change his life. The officer claimed that he was driving slowly due to the substantial amount of ice on the road when he saw what looked like a dog by the curb. Suddenly, the animal darted in front of the cruiser, forcing the officer to slam on the brakes in order to avoid a potential collision with the creature. Once the cruiser came to a halt, its headlights fell upon the prone animal. At this point, the officer described something that seems literally too bizarre to be true. In a span of seconds, this crouched frog-like creature stood on 2 legs, stared back at the policeman, then scrambled over the guardrail and hurried down the embankment, finally disappearing into the Ohio River. So first off, that's a lot more stuff that happened in the other story, and secondly, the other story had the officer's name, and he did not choose to remain anomalous. Or anonymous. Not anomalous. Anomalous is a different thing. The officer in question described the creature as being 3 to 4 feet tall and weighing in the area of 50 to 75 pounds. He also claimed its skin had a leathery texture and that the animal's features resembled those of a frog or lizard. Another officer investigated the scene later that evening. He saw no sign of the creature, but reported that there were distinct scratch marks on the guardrail where the animal purportedly crossed. The second sighting occurred 2 weeks later while police officer Mark Matthews had an encounter of his own. According to the report, Officer Matthews, while driving into Loveland, spotted what he believed to be an injured animal lying on the pavement. Matthews climbed out of his cruiser with the intent of removing the carcass from the already ice-slicked road, when the creature abruptly lurched upwards into a crouched position. Taken aback by the frogman's reptilian visage, Matthews unholstered his revolver and took shot at the creature, which then proceeded to hobble over to the side of the road and step over the guardrail, all the while keeping a watchful eye on the trigger-happy officer. Matthews' frogman matched the first officer's description down to the last detail, with the exception of a tail, which was absent in earlier reports. In the years which have followed these events, Officer Matthews has reneged somewhat on his tale. He now claims that the animal in question was nothing more than a large reptile which escaped it from its owner. He further insists that the only reason he shot at the creature was to help confirm a fellow officer's story, a story which was of course being met with predictable skepticism by their superiors. Whether or not Matthews' change of heart was inspired by ridicule or the fading memory of an event from which he was 30 years removed, the fact remains that his own testimony counter indicates his later retraction. In a 2001 email interview, Officer Mark Matthews, now retired, explained that the incident was habitually blown out of proportion. He stated that it was and is no monster. It was not leathery or had wet matted fur. It was not 3 to 5 feet tall. It did not stand erect. The animal I saw was obviously some type of lizard that someone had as a pet that either got too large for its aquarium, escaped by accident, or they simply got tired of it. It was less than 3 feet in length, ran across the road, and was probably blinded by my headlights. It presented no aggressive action. Matthews attempted to shoot the creature in order to back up the account of his partner sighting a few nights prior, but the lizard escaped, most likely to die from its injury or from the bitter freezing cold. A frogman was spotted in mid-August 2016 by Sam Jacobs and his girlfriend while they were playing Pokemon Go in Cincinnati. The location of the sighting casts doubt on its authenticity. There is a hoax of precedent for a bipedal frog, there is a lack of precedent for a bipedal frog. Additionally, the frogmen live in Ohio, which is a very populated region of the United States of America. The creature is only known from one specific region, and there is no Native American folklore of this creature. There is no video evidence that it did not come from a suspicious encounter, and the creature seems to have unusual, perhaps supernatural abilities. Are there any videos in here, or just weird pictures? That's a weird picture. Let me see if I can do it again. Paranormal Creatures by Mukhtar.jpg. Oh, yeah, nope, there's no videos. Okay, so that does it for the Frogman, and that does it for reading about cryptids. Unless I come across the more cryptids, or if anybody wants to send me some more cryptids, I guess you can let me know in the comments, or on the Twitter where you can put suggestions and stuff at. So, this has been Anachi Sasuke. This was Let's Read About Cryptids, episode 5. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe would be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well so that you're notified for when I do more uploads. And I will see you all in the next one. Later.